Hello and welcome to another rousing edition of Trending Topics with BB. I am your humble host, Brooke Brown, hence the BB. We are back for another exciting episode with a delightful guest that I've been trying to get on this podcast for a couple of years now. But before I introduce my guest, I want to remind you to log on to the official website, which is trendingtopicswithbbpodcast.com. There you will find a link to every platform where you can find this podcast that you may not already be listening to. And along those lines, if you are a Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or any platform where there could be a rating or comment, please leave a favorable rating or comment. If you like this podcast, it helps this podcast be found by other listeners and continues to grow this podcast. And I thank those that have done so far. It has helped grow this podcast for as long as it's been running. Also on the website, you will find links to the social media profiles if you aren't already following, which are Trending Topics with BB on Facebook, TT with BB on Twitter and Instagram. So check those out for lovely updates periodically for episodes and whatnot. All right, so my guest is one half of the duo Cosmic Gate. He goes by the name Bossy. We had a lovely chat about their current track releases, the kind of times we're living in the trance scene, along with the future outlook of touring, and also shout outs about their lovely recent live streams. So without further ado, I give you my lovely chat with Bossy. All right, well, thank you so much, Bossy, for joining me on my podcast. I'm a huge fan, and I'll get into it in just one second. But I wanted to kind of preface why I wanted to talk to you guys. I'm a huge trance music fan from the 90s, been following your career for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to kind of highlight, I used to be the marketing director for Phoenix Trans Family in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
And then I recently
Phoenix.
relocated to LA for my day job. But so I just wanted to kind of highlight what you guys have been doing a lot of stuff. You guys have, I watched your Miami set when the quarantine kind of started, and
that was at my new. I recently relocated too, so I got out of Vegas in the end of February and moved to Miami, and couldn't have been a better moment, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, Miami is so awesome, and Vegas was absolutely dead, right? So I feel bad for my friends there, but for me it was perfect actually.
Well, ironically, I actually met you guys in Miami Music Week 2019. I was there.
Here
I
we
came
go.
to your show. And you guys were just about to come back to Phoenix. So I worked on promoting your show to get it sold out in Phoenix. So
what was the last in this open air venue? What's the name again? The smaller
Shady Park.
Again?
It's called Shady Park. It's in Tempe, Arizona.
Yes. It
Yeah,
was super
was
fun.
there.
Really liked it. Good vibe. And I was actually thinking that could be a venue for this late summer, but with the numbers spiking that much in the area, that might be not working.
Right. So along those lines, I kind of wanted to chat with you about what it's like to celebrate 20 years and kind of go over the awesome Grammy nomination you got for the remix for Gabriel and Dresden.
Yeah, sure.
So kind of I guess we'll talk about the Grammy nomination and then talk about 20 years. So talk a little bit about that experience, and I wanted to kind of like get your thoughts and talk about the Grammy nomination that you guys experienced and kind of what all of that experience.
Yeah, that was, I think we all live a crazy life where we're we're so spoiled with all the big festivals we play, the travels we do, all the the countries we've seen. Yeah, you learn so much, and then suddenly, boom, there is still one thing that can just hit you like a hammer, and that was literally when we heard, hey, the Only Road remix is nominated for a Grammy, because the word Grammy still is like, wow, it's so big when you're a trance producer. It's like, it's awesome, but there is no Hollywood, there's no this and that, and Grammy has this. Yeah, just it's just huge, and we, I guess, me talk about it, I still can't believe it somehow. So we're just super proud and happy how it happened.
Well, I was happy you guys got that nomination, and because I feel like that was one of the remixes of the year. Like I had
Yeah,
that on
thank
repeat
you.
on my playlist, like all the time, and then it was in a lot of other sets I heard throughout the year. So I was happy you guys got that nomination.
Yeah, that's definitely a track we're gonna play for a long time. Yeah, what can I say? It's yeah, sometimes you're in the studio and things work well, and yeah, we had a good feeling about the remix, but to be ending up with the Grammy nomination and all the response it got, we had no clue. So it's just awesome.
Awesome. So along those lines, you guys recently celebrated 20 years, and you had a great album, Forward Backward. That album that came out, and you toured along with it. What was your feelings as you toured and the vibes celebrating 20 years?
Um, yeah, that's 20 years when you're a group, especially, is we were thinking, are we just going going and do business as usual, or are we pointing it out? Are we going to highlight it and celebrate it? And we were like, yeah, hell yeah, of course we're gonna celebrate it. And then we were thinking, yeah, how we actually gonna do that? And then yeah, we were literally, yeah, picking our favorite cities, favorite clubs, favorite promoters to really, like some of these guys, like Pete from Echo Stage in DC. We had our first show on the first weekend we ever played in the US for him. So it was a very special occasion for us, and yeah, I could talk for hours now, but maybe what was the nicest thing for us to see was how it was bringing together fans from, let's call it, the early days, and newer fans, that maybe are just into yeah, clubbing and festivals for maybe a year or two. So and a lot of the promoters told us that they loved to see how the crowd was mixing up, and yeah, we did the same, and that was so awesome to see, literally, crowds from 18 till in the mid late 40s, or even above that, and that was just very awesome, and made us, yeah, we were just very proud to see that people follow us for such a long time and still come out to a club show even. So that was really, yeah, really fascinating and touching.
Awesome. Did you was it because in the trance scene recently, there's kind of been debates about old versus new and different sounds. As you just mentioned about older fans and newer fans kind of intermingling, did that kind of create a like an encompassing vibe to celebrate 20 years?
Uh, you know, it feels the trance scene is always about old sounds, new sounds, this and that. We don't think there's old or new. There's just good or maybe less good in music qualities, and but speak about music doesn't really make sense. You should listen to it and enjoy it, and if you don't, then just don't listen to it. And to be like, oh, this genre might be cooler than the other. Maybe doesn't make as much sense. But yeah, coming back to that, yeah, we just loved for these reasons that actually when we started, our sound was pretty much different than it was now 20 years later. But on the other hand, if we won't have changed our sound, we would never be out for 20 years. We think change is very, very important. And the overall why we may be out for that long time, another reason is that we have our signature sound. And even if it was back in the hot trance times or now in the more progressive trance times, we have a handwriting and the feel of our music. We think it's always Cosmic Gate, no matter if it's the hotter or the more progressive side.
And along those lines, do you feel like because you guys are a group, you kind of are able to collaborate a little bit more and know kind of what, you guys have your own like vibe of what you want to release? Do you think it's different than those that are more solo in their productions?
Well, to be solo definitely has the advantage. There is always just the one guy you got to please. That's yourself. But we think the way bigger advantage of being a group, being two or even more guys, is there's always someone you can speak to, put your strengths together, and sometimes in the studio it can be when you're there on your own, you're building, you're creating something. There comes a moment that you're like, hey, is this really cool or is this just okay? And when there's the other guy, it's always you always have a feedback, right? So we feel to be a group is actually a big advantage compared to being on your own, at least when it goes for long term.
Awesome. So I kind of wanted to get into, you guys just released a mix compilation, the Wake Your Mind mix compilation, and I've listened to it a few times on Spotify. And what made you guys decide to do kind of the mix compilation as opposed to maybe like a EP of your latest tracks?
Well, we just had the Forward Ever Backward Never album out, which holds just our own productions, and there is always, even with all the touring we do, there is always fans that do not have the chance to catch us somewhere in a club, on a festival or so, and we do these mix compilations for many years back to back, and now the Wake Your Mind sessions. And it's always a bit of a reflection of our, yeah, of course, a lot of production, our own productions are on it. So where we are heading as producers and how we're sounding as DJs, and we try to build it up a little bit like really a club set with literally playing our own warm up and building it up towards the more euphoric kind of sound. So it's our approach, our try to give fans an idea of how we sound like, what we are as DJs, as much as we somehow can.
Awesome. And then along those, you guys also released a couple tracks recently. Universal Love is great. Can you kind of dive into what made you do like a really high vocal track as opposed to maybe some of the other recent sound?
Yeah, Universal Love. Well, I'm not sharing news here. That's a 25-year-old vocal from a group called NBG from Belgium, and so actually our Universal Love, the instrumental, was just an instrumental, like kind of 80-90% of how you know it now. And then we came to the point that we're like, hey, actually that track is awesome, but it needs the dot on the I, which would be a vocal. And then we send it to some songwriters and stuff, and we got some stuff back, but we weren't like really 100% satisfied with it. And then you go over your old, there's some CDs with tracks on, and suddenly we stumbled over that NBG track. So hey, that vocal could actually fit. And fortunately enough, we could try it out. And sometimes sometimes you just happen to be lucky, and like the harmonies, everything was like made for our instrumental. So we just used it, cut it a bit, edited it, layered it, and well, of course, you cannot just release the track because it's not our publishing. We didn't write the vocals, right? So then we were lucky enough to find the contact for these guys in Belgium, and yeah, they were generous enough to clear it for us, and here we go. This is Universal Love with an old vocal and new music.
Well, I love it. It's a great update. Um,
Yeah.
and likewise, you also released Your Mind. What was kind of the motivation behind that track?
Well, a little bit of a similar story. It's a very old. This time, it's just a vocal sample. Your mind, your mind. Yeah, we chopped it up in different ways. Same procedure. You got to clear the rights to use the vocal, and once again, got to say thanks for giving us the permission to use it. And yeah, the rest is our music and our vibe and our mind, hopefully to yours.
Great. So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier about your recent relocation to Miami, but you also did a kind of like an interesting quarantine set from like a in an area, and it's now all over YouTube and stuff. So what was that like, being in this situation that we're currently in the world, but also able to provide music to a community like that?
Yeah, so that video, me playing by the pool. So that's my condominium building I moved to only 3 months ago, and when they eventually found out what I do, there was a DJ playing here for 2 or 3 Saturdays in a row, and they were like, "Hey, would you want to play?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? But you got to be aware if I play that the music is going to be different." He was playing top 40 and Michael Jackson and stuff like this. And if you guys think our people here are cool with trance, yeah, let's do it. And they said, yeah. And then we did it, and we felt like, okay, get this all recorded and share it, because well, um, the times we're all having, they're rough enough, and yeah, so everyone here on the balconies had a great time. It was awesome for me to be down there. Even you don't get feedback right away, which as DJs are normally used to. You have the people right in front of you in a club or so. But yeah, it was just awesome to play again and dance, and yeah. And then later, when I've seen the video, I was like, oh wow, this is really cool with the drone and stuff. And yeah, now it's literally whenever I step into the elevator, it's everyone is like, oh my god, I loved it and thank you so much. And yeah, that feedback is, yeah, means more than anything.
Right. And likewise, hasn't Nick been doing something in New York City? He's done a
E-
couple.
exactly. He's been recording on his rooftop, which is just an awesome location. So the two of us are lucky enough to be living in really nice places, that we have the chance to do some recordings. And yeah, even not being together, we're we're doing our stuff. And yeah, fortunately, yeah, hopefully in the nearer future, we have shows together again, because it's been a while. I haven't seen him in about 4 months.
Yeah. Do you think the times we're living is going to change kind of the touring and the industry, or do you think once the all clears and stuff begins to be booked again, do you think it's going to be like it was, or do you have a kind of an idea of what you're seeing in the future?
That's a very good question. It might depend on just how long we still, let me call it, have to stay in. let's call it out, without a vaccination, there will be no big festivals. I reckon at least there won't. Otherwise, everything we did won't make sense if we suddenly do that. So yeah, everything depends on the vaccination, and that might be a while. And so the scene will suffer a lot, because clubs, festivals, literally going to be the last, as DJs, mostly going to be the last to restart. So it will not be easy. We might have to rebuild, but everyone that's in it with heart and passion will do that. Dance music wasn't always big. House and techno. I was losing my job at the beginning of my career, because I played techno, or trance, however you want to call it. Yeah, and we're still going to be there whenever it's going to be. Some clubs might have closed. Some promoters might not survive the financial disaster behind all that. So many questions, but it's going to come back. Surely not 100%, but people want to go out. People want to enjoy, and so I know there's going to be a future, but when it is and how big the festivals, the club scene is going to be, I hope as big as possible. But and if not, as I said, we're going to rebuild it, and going to be there, play our music.
That's great. I agree, but it's kind of scary right now, kind of the outlook. But hopefully, it'll get back to good times.
Yeah, it's scary, but to live in denial about it doesn't help either. So, but yeah, we can be outside. Uh, Music can be played on patios, or the way we did it. People can be around, just not body to body like on festivals. So there's going to be some steps in between. I think in the summer, patios, maybe boats with smaller capacity, things like that can be done. Little steps, and yeah, that would be something already.
Awesome. So are you guys? I'm assuming always working on new music and new ideas. Is there any plans for more albums, or are you looking to just kind of release tracks to go with your compilation?
Well, for now, sure, we're planning on a new album, but right now, with the current situation, we don't know when that's going to be, because a touring DJ act like us to not have shows and release an album won't really make sense. Not that we have an album ready here, so I don't want to start any rumors. But yeah, we might start with more music. We already have like another collaboration single ready. We have another single in the making. We have like two or three remixes coming. So there's going to be singles, remixes, maybe an EP at first. Yeah, but everything step by step.
Awesome. Well, I again appreciate you joining me on this podcast. It's kind of been a couple years in the making to because I've been a
My
big
pleasure.
fan.
Super nice to
Yeah, I
talk
just
to you.
kind of wanted to get the word out about what you guys are doing, and also get people to watch the sets that you guys are providing, especially in the downtime that a lot of people have. So,
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
no, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye. Take care.